Hey there guys, good to be back with you again. We got another game for you. We're going to go ahead and hop straight into this, and this is, as you can see, I haven't set up the override for the PlayStation part of this emulator yet. So this is the first time I've played this game. I mentioned it a little while ago, but we're going to just jump straight into this. This is NHL FaceOff, like the original. I was reading what people were saying about various NHL games on the PlayStation, and I thought, I'll give this one a try. So we'll see how it works. Yeah, we'll kind of check out, what does this introduction screen look like and stuff like that. Looks pretty nice. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. I'm guessing that there are probably some of you out there who've already played this one before. So assuming that you've played this before, you should know that I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm just sort of like picking this up and trying to play. So we'll see how it goes. This is sort of my favorite thing to do. So there's all sorts of like really cool options that you have here. This is after Quebec moves, so we can't play as them. So we'll play as Hartford, I think, probably something like that. I'll do that on auto. Take offsides off. Put this on rookie. I don't even get to choose my team. It just sort of chooses which one of these teams for me or something. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, we'll check this out. We'll see which one or what this is like. Yeah, I end up being Ottawa instead, so okay. Okay, that's not what I was expecting to see. That was a little bit fast, but anyway, so it is. So we'll check this out and see, what this game is like, and it'll be just like, all the other sort of casual playing on this and other channels that I've done, and as usual, I have to warn you that the purpose of doing this is not to demonstrate my superior skills or something. I'm probably not going to fool anybody with that. Instead, the real purpose of this is just sort of to have something that's fun and to allow myself to have a little bit of time playing this game. A little bit quick there with these penalty calls. So we've got a 5-on-3 now. But I mean, we haven't really seen any hits. You just turn around and there's the call right away. So, and then apparently they don't call us for anything. So whatever. The other thing I'll say is that when I get the ball over, right in front of goal and shoot, it's or the puck right in front of goal and I shoot. The classic American mistake, right? When I get the puck right up here and I shoot, it disappears. Oh, so okay, we scored. All right, there you go. We scored a goal. Good job, Sean. Anyway, the sound and all that is great, but of course part of that is probably just because we're using the PlayStation, right, as opposed to the Nintendo systems and stuff like that. I was reading what people said about this over on Wikipedia, and they were talking about, this is a 3D game. I didn't know exactly what they meant by that. I was trying to pass, but I ended up shooting instead. So, okay, that's another goal for us. Maybe rookie's a little bit too easy, huh? Anyway, I was interested to know what they meant because they were saying on Wikipedia something about how this is a game with a 3D arena. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And I think I understand here what it means. It means that, the arena, the way it's set up is three-dimensional, right? Man, these penalty calls are just ridiculous. Is it because I have the game set on the easy mode? Is that the reason why we're seeing this? I don't know. It's just a little bit excessive, I would say. I mean, they've had 3 penalties. We haven't even played for 3 minutes yet. All right, good. I'm still trying to figure out. Oh, there we go. So it's that button up there that's passed. It's the one that's mapped to for me to. Is probably why. I can't remember off the top of my head what the PlayStation controller looks like. As you can tell, I'm kind of an old man. No idea what I'm doing, So that's why I should call this "Old Man Plays Hockey." More like "Old American Plays Hockey." Can't remember any of the words for any of the things you need to know in the sport and all that. So it is. Overall, though, for a game that's from 1995, I think is what the copyright there said, the presentation here is actually quite good, and it works pretty well as a competitor for the EA Sports NHL series. Now, I haven't played any of the 3D NHL games barring 2004, so I don't have like a direct comparison. And obviously, I mean, compared to NHL 2004 and the PlayStation 2, this game is kind of simplistic, right? But it still is actually pretty good overall. It's kind of funny for me to see, by the way, when I was looking at different threads and people talking about like which game they like best and stuff, to see, you know, people, somebody mentioned NHL 94 and they were saying, oh, that can't be the best game and all of that stuff. I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of people in the online community who actually like agree with that 94 is probably the best game. I think that 94 has a certain feel to it that a lot of these other games don't really have. I'm not sure what Scott did there. He did something to get himself in trouble, so it is. So I had line changes set to auto. Well, now they're changing it. I was going to say I haven't seen anything that looked even remotely like a line change so far, so I don't know. The controls here, though, are a little bit awkward, I will say that. I think that there was a review or something I read that kind of complained about that. They are a little bit awkward in that, like, the button for changing your player is different than the button for passing. You would think that, like, it would be one of the most obvious things to get right. But, I mean, overall, it's not that bad. It's not like you don't feel like this is a game that was made by somebody who'd never played a hockey game before in their life, you know. I think that a lot of the sort of little frustrating things I'm noticing are caused because I have it on a mode that's too easy. But, you know, in my own defense, this is my first time playing, so I don't know. I don't know how easy or how hard it is, how easy it is to figure stuff out or anything like that. And the other thing I've got to say, too, though, is that you don't have the same level of control that you do with the NHL game, right? It's different. It feels different controlling the players, having them skate up the ice and stuff like that. In this game, it doesn't feel quite as natural. It feels a little bit more like you're just like moving a player forward in a straight line as opposed to actually having them skate. It's kind of a hard thing to explain, but it is definitely something I noticed right away. This one feels a little bit more like some of the classic, you know, hockey games that are more like straight line, you know, oriented. And so, you know, by saying that, what I mean is that if you're a big fan of like NES hockey games and like, you know, the EA games, you know, make you frustrated or whatever, you probably want to try this one out. This one has is probably a much more straightforward, I would say, control scheme and structure. But it's not really, like, it's not hockey, right? And you know what? I was actually wrong. No, the pass button is the same as the button for changing players. I was incorrect. I was playing it the wrong way. Anyway, good times, right? Played 10 minutes and it's taken less than 10 minutes of real time, so that's not bad. So yeah, so far so good. I've got a video coming here on the channel, a scripted video that will come out tomorrow. And this time it will actually come out tomorrow. It's not like last week where I had to wait like a day or two. I have it ready, I have it filmed. I'm going to edit it later on today. I think that a lot of you will like it. It might end up being controversial. I don't know if it will or not. It sort of depends on what people think. But yeah, we're going to talk about the Miracle on Ice and sort of like the story behind it. The thing is that I could do a video where we just go over the Miracle on Ice and all the games and stuff, but I wanted to do something a little bit different, especially as somebody who grew up in the United States and you hear a lot about this. Like, the truth is that, yeah, the Miracle on Ice was actually, you know, quite amazing, but it's not the only, like, amazing hockey tournament of that time. While what the United States was able to accomplish against the Soviet team is really quite impressive, it's not... oh, I guess we have icing on still, huh? While it was impressive, like, if you go back and you rewatch the 1980 Olympic ice hockey games, I think you'll notice that the quality of play was not quite where it needed to be. I also honestly think that the United States was successful largely because the Soviet Union just underestimated the team. I think that's actually pretty evident. There are a couple other things I learned while I was doing this research. Like, for example, I didn't realize this, but Canada, when it played against the Soviet Union that year, Canada actually went up early and like had a chance at a miracle. Canada also lost a really frustrating game to Finland, which is the team that the United States actually beat at the end for the gold medal. People forget about that part as well. But the big thing, and the reason why I was thinking a lot about this series, this time around, is the fact that, the series did not actually like make hockey more popular in the United States. In fact, it was still pretty much a decade before we had any sort of reasonable amount of hockey on network television. And that's in large part because CBS was a bunch of buttheads about it, right? And like refused to air any Stanley Cup final games and stuff like that. Anyway. Oh, give me this. There we go. I keep hitting the wrong button when I'm trying to change players. A little bit too used to playing NHL PA 93. Anyway, so there you have it. If the people in charge of United States hockey at the time were hoping that the Olympics would make the sport a lot more visible, they were sorely disappointed because it definitely didn't happen. Go back here. Oops, I wanted to pass. I keep hitting shoot instead of pass. That's alright. Oh, come on. Anyway, our guys go to the penalty box and they become these like flat objects. It's pretty funny. That's your punishment, right? Your punishment for breaking the rules is you get turned into a pancake. But yeah, the thing is that it's actually quite impressive that the miracle of ice on ice even happened. I mean, one of the things that really gets forgotten is that the United States, or I'm sorry, the NHL All-Stars had this series in 1979, so a year before. That was their All-Star game. They had this series against the Soviet Union, and the Soviets dominated them. It was a 3-game series, right? They won 2 games to 1. But in the final game of that series, the Soviet Union didn't give up a single goal. They won 6-0, right? And it really wasn't much of a game. But you got to realize that this team that had beaten, a team of NHL All-Stars ended up losing to a completely amateur, United States side. That's the part that's really impressive. It'd be really impressive if we don't give up a goal here. It looks like it happened. Yeah, having what is this, like square or something like that be the pass button is kind of driving me nuts here. It's nice to have X, I think it is, be the shoot button. All right, so there we go. I scored a goal. I showed that I can do it. But having this score button be pass and change players just doesn't feel natural. So anyway, that's my one complaint about this game. Other than that, this game's perfectly fine. Well, that and also like you don't have the same level of control. I miss NHL 2004 where like I could like had different controls for like how I was handling the puck and stuff like that. That was actually really nice. Oh, I should probably pass, huh? I do have the ability to pass. The other nice thing is that unlike that Game Gear game, like my guys don't default to being offside all the time. I turned offside off anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But they still try to at least they try to follow the rules. Yeah, see right there, I'm trying to hit shoot, and I keep hitting the wrong button. There you go, son. Good little breakaway action. Anyway, the real funny thing when you're talking about international hockey, we'll see how big the Olympics get, and it does look like the United States and Canada are going to be on a collision course again. But the fun thing about it was that Four Nations thing for the All-Star game last year. I mean, the NHL really needs to do that more often. But of course, you know, that was big in part because of the stupidity of American politics and, you know, all that stuff. There you go. See that? They call me the Destroyer. Now, the big question, I think, is this game actually better than, you know, the Blades of Steel game, right? Remember, that's what the magazine said and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think you can definitely compare the two. That game, so they were actually, you know, talking more about NHL FaceOff 2000, I think it was. We've got a couple games to go before we get to that one. This game's not... I didn't even know that was my player. Alexi, bro, what are you doing? We've had 1 second of this period, and you've already been thrown in the slammer. 2 seconds, I'm sorry. I was incorrect. It's been 2 seconds. Of course, you know, I know the reason why, but it still is kind of unfortunate that we don't have, you know, the Russians to play the bad guy this time around in the Olympics. So it's going to have to be the Americans who end up being the bad guys. And I hate to say it, but there is something that's probably eerily accurate about the Americans ending up being sort of like stand-in proxies for the Russians. So it's unfortunate. Anyway, I don't think that my video, when it comes out tomorrow, is going to necessarily make you forget about that Disney movie, but you know, maybe at least some people will be interested in it. That's my hope. Get him, bro. Yeah, high sticking. I almost saw that, right? I saw something out of the corner of my eye there that looked like a high stick. So anyway, we haven't seen any fighting yet. I don't even know if there's fighting in this game. So I don't know. Maybe the Ottawa players are too polite. You know, the only NHL game I've ever been to was in Ottawa at the, what's it called, stage center? Was it the Canadian Tire Center? I can't remember what it was called. This was about a decade ago. And what I remember the most about it, believe it or not, is how polite the crowd was. I was there with my kids, and I mean, I was, you know, ready to see just about anything, you know, and real excited. And Ottawa is just such a bureaucratic type town. Very, very similar, by the way, to Washington D.C., except it's quite a bit smaller. I mean, the crowd was mostly like sitting on its hands the whole game. It was not what I was expecting. A lot different than watching, you know, that the Bruins game that I was playing the other day on NHL 2004. There's nothing like that going on in Ottawa. There was no chanting. You know, people were very polite and clapping and stuff. And it was sort of like watching hockey in Sweden, right? That's what it felt like. So anyway, if you like Swedish hockey, then you can go to Ottawa. You'll feel right at home. A little bit of trivia. I didn't know this before, but one of the people who worked with me over at the embassy when I was there in Ottawa was a native of Ottawa, and told me that in the 1990s even, there was still a time where you would see livestock wandering around the city. You would see, like, you know, people whose pigs got loose or something like that. And it was a lot different back then. In fact, when we were there, right, so the way that the U.S. government does it is it doesn't provide you with housing. Instead, you get an allowance, and you can, like, rent something. And everybody knew there was, like, this farmhouse that was available for rent. And, I mean, we weren't going to do it. There was nothing we could do with the space, right? But I always wonder, that would be interesting if here you are in this diplomatic, you know, whatever assignment or something, and you're living in a farmhouse. So, anyway, good times, good times. That was, of course, before the Orange Man. That was back when things were normal. Things are not so normal today, unfortunately, so it is. But part of the point of my video will eventually be, I can't even see who I'm controlling, man. I'm trying to change players and I can't see him. Part of the point of my video, though, is that actually, like, hockey, international hockey especially, in general, tends to be a sort of like a proxy for international politics and international, like, political disagreements and stuff. And it does so in a way that's much more direct than any other sport, including soccer, right? So, like, you can talk about stuff in soccer, like the, 1974 World Cup, where West Germany faced East Germany and stuff is pretty famous. But even there, that's nothing compared to, like, like the Summit Series in 1972 and stuff like that. I mean, that's where you get to, the power that hockey really has to, excite the imagination of people. I think part of that actually is because of the more physical nature of hockey, right? So, like, you're upset with, like, this country or whatever, and so you're cheering for your players to, like, go knock them into the boards and stuff like that. It's a sport that's much more, satisfying when it comes to those kinds of issues. But the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that truly, like, the real hockey, oh yeah, we won that. How about that? The real hockey rivalry internationally, honestly, probably has been the United States and Canada all of these years, right? The Soviet Union naturally had, some very, very amazing teams, but when you start looking backwards, you realize that there were a lot of really intense games between the United States and Canada over the decades, most of which people have totally forgotten about. In fact, people talk about 1960 when the United States beat the Soviet Union, but really, the big game in the 1960 Olympics was the United States beating Canada. And yet, in the United States, it didn't even get much press or much attention, and it wasn't on television and all this stuff. Anyway, so there you have it. Anybody want to come help me here, huh? Well, let me do this all by myself, I guess. I just knocked into my own guy. All right, so we win this one 8-4. I suppose that means that this game's maybe not the most accurate in terms of numbers of goals scored, but maybe if I were playing on a harder mode, it would be a little bit different. Anyways, kind of gives you an idea. Let me know what you think about this. I think this game actually is a lot of fun. It's pretty well designed. Might be fun to do a project with this, or do one with one of the NHL games or something like that. Just let me know what you guys think, and your wish is my command for the most part, as long as I can play the game. Anyway, there you have it. I will talk with you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.